So I will be presenting on a topic which is completely different from what people have been talking about, child trafficking, and also child trafficking not in the US, but outside the US, in Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire is a country in West Africa, okay, and people like calling it in the US as Ivory Coast. Okay, so as part of a formative evaluation in Côte d'Ivoire, inside a project we call the Child Protection Compact, we have to conduct 3 studies on 3 different types of child trafficking, including, as you see there, forced child begging. We don't know it in the US here. Commercial sexual exploitation of children, which is well known here. Actually, that's the biggest child trafficking form in the US. And child domestic servitude, certainly not known in the US either. Okay, so, but because of time issue, I'm going to focus just on child domestic servitude, because I could not kind of cover all of them. Okay, so I can say this. Child domestic servitude is an extreme form of child domestic work. Child domestic work actually is a traditional, acceptable child labor practiced in many countries in the global south. It is acceptable, and it is a way for children actually to get opportunities to be in the city, to study, or to get vocational training. That's not known here. But when it does not meet the minimum standards of child labor, is qualified as child domestic servitude. Okay, for this study, to estimate the population of child domestic workers in Abidjan. Abidjan is the capital city of Côte d'Ivoire. We decided to choose Abidjan because the country is too big and we didn't have enough money. Okay? We decided to use a multi-stage probability-based sampling approach. In this approach, first, a probability proportional to size sampling strategy was used to select 55 enumeration areas in the city. That was from the census data, okay? And after that, we used another sampling strategy. We used a systematic sampling strategy based on the 55 enumeration areas. We tried in those areas to select households. So it was house-based, actually, survey. And we select households based on a specific skip pattern of 6 households each time. That helped us to get to recruit children, children actually who were not living with their parents. Okay? Both children were not living with their parents, and also we have to say that they were working in exchange for schooling, possibly wages, shelter, food. But the problem is they were being ill-treated or abused. Okay, so based on our findings, based on our research, we got to a sample of 400, as you can see there, 38 children. Okay, and based on that, we were able to estimate the population of children in situation of domestic work. You could see there, we found that 335,286 children were in situation of domestic work. That leads us to the second finding. We noticed that based on the Côte d'Ivoire child labor law, every child in domestic work actually were victim of child domestic servitude or child labor trafficking. Technically, I can say that we had in Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan, 772,000 children who are between age 10 and 15, which was the age group we focused on. Technically, 1 out of every 2 children in this kind of interval age was a victim of trafficking. Now, based on the US law, we realized also that more than 40% of the children in Abidjan in situation of domestic work actually were victims of child trafficking, which means technically 4 out of every 10 children in that situation in Côte d'Ivoire were victims of child trafficking. We have been working and we continue working on that until we address this issue in Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you very much for your attention.